Well, good evening, everyone. So lovely to see you all on this lovely spring evening with gentle breezes about, although there is some worry in the world. And that is why we are here, because we are poets or lovers of poetry, and we need to instill in our hearts special messages that are important to our health and the world's health. And I want to start. My name is Richard Waring. I'm a member of the PoemWorks community. Glad to be here in the 15th year of doing these readings. Now virtual for the foreseeable future. And I want to start with a quote that I found very compelling from Tish Harrison Warren in a recent New York Times opinion piece. She says, "Poetry is like prayer," a comparison that many have made. Both poetry and prayer remind us that there is more to say about reality than can be said in words, though in both poetry and prayer, we use words to try to glimpse what is beyond words. And they both make space to name our deepest longings, lamentations, and loves. Perhaps this is why the poetry of the Psalms became the first prayer book. In that spirit, let me introduce our not penultimate, but our ultimate poet feature for the night. That is Eric Hyett, who is a poet and Japanese translator from Brookline, Massachusetts. His first book of poetry, Aporia, was published in 2022, this year, by Lily Poetry Review Books. Eric teaches online poetry workshops in the PoemWorks community, as well as a memoir class, Telling Your Story, whose participants are parents who live in public housing. Eric is an elected town meeting member in his hometown of Brookline. He serves on the board of directors at his local cable TV station and media nonprofit Brookline Interactive Group, BIG, where he hosts his own TV show called The Arc of Justice. Please welcome Eric Hyett.
Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. I said to Teddy, my boyfriend, right before this reading, I said, look, I am hoping it's a really small group of just PoemWorks people and a few friends so that I can read for a short time of new work, and then everybody can read something, and then we'll call it a night. And I'm so grateful to Mr. Richard Waring for making a special exception to the Friday night reading series to host us on a Monday so that I could participate. And this is like just an absolutely great feeling for me to be able to have this reading and see these wonderful faces, friends old and new, and some people I've never met before, which is great too. So I'm excited to share a little bit this evening. I got my wish, which is that I don't really have to read from my new book very much. But that said, my mother would absolutely murder me if I didn't read something from my new book, as she'd kill any of us if we had a book out and didn't read something from it. So I had to, I mean, I still have to deal with Barbara, and even the Barbara that exists. But then there's the Barbara that's in all of our minds, spirits, and subconscious telling us what to do.
That's right.
So she's the force to be reckoned with, even now. And I did see my mom last week, and I asked her, Mom, do you still like poetry? And she said, of course I like poetry, just not my own. So that was really appreciated to know that my mom very much still does like poetry, and she's still into it. She just doesn't write it, and her own poetry doesn't do much for her. So you guys are in for a treat tonight. You're going to hear a variety of different things, and then I'm going to hear some of your things. So I'm excited about that. I am opening not with a poem by me, but with a poem translated by me. And Spencer Thurlow, my translation partner, and I have published one book so far of translated contemporary Japanese poetry, and our second book of it is coming out in January of 2023. The book is called, we're calling it in English, Is It Poetry? And the author is Hirata Toshiko. She is a contemporary female Japanese poet. And I won't even get into why we called the book Is It Poetry, but each of the poems in the book we have also numbered, named as a question. And in other words, Miss Hirata wrote a poem every month on the 7th of the month for 2 years. That was her book. And we decided to go ahead and translate the whole thing. And like I said, it's coming out next year. She's a playwright, a novelist, and a poet. So there's a little bit of the flair for the dramatic throughout her work. You'll hear what I mean. So I thought I would read a poem called Is It March? Because it's March. And so I'm going to go ahead and read that. Is it March? And she has a little epigraph. Outdoor production, Night of the Water Carriers. Playwright takes her seat at the final dress rehearsal. Dress rehearsal, abbreviated DR, shortened to D. The theater lights on cue. The sound on cue. The costumes in place, actors take their positions on the stage. The park at night, whispering trees. Dirty water drips from faucets. Light hits yellow streamers. The giant jungle gym seems to breathe. Audience seats, empty outlines on the grass. The director, the crew, and I watch the play from our own spots. We glare at the same scene, have separate thoughts. It's already dress rehearsal. Even now, a single line could be changed. Lighting changed, costumes changed, set changed. But what I want to change is the one thing I can't. I have the urge to scream, stop the play, stop the play. The script isn't working. I'd murmured my worries to myself at studio rehearsals. Now all flaws are revealed on dress rehearsal night. Stop the play, stop the play, stop the play, stop the play. Excuse me, I know it's not reasonable, but changes at what level? At this late date? We've booked the park at night. We've changed the date once. If we wait until I'm satisfied with my own script, there'll be no opening night. No opening night. In pitch blackness, I tear my script in two. The actors, alive on stage, speak my words that have no heart. And I'm going to share another one by Hirata Toshiko. A year later, she wrote another poem called Is It March Again? So here we are, March Again. This one we were able to publish in Granta last year, which was kind of exciting for all of us.
Nice.
Is it March again? I feel like it's raining. The way I guessed was not by looking, but because of the rain-like sound against the window. On the radio, two people are having a conversation. You take this rifle, Diane, and go shoot us a rabbit. I ain't got the gumption, Joe. I just can't. Listen up, Diane. There ain't a cracker left in this cabin. If you can't get us a rabbit, we're done for. I can go to town, get us some provisions, but we're 3 days out of town. It'll be all right. I'll go to the doctor, get medicine for your wound. You go right ahead then. Get us reported to the police while you're at it. In yesterday's paper, a man shot a dog, thinking it was a fox. The dog was killed, someone's dog. It must have been terrible for the dog and the owner. Strange to say, but if it had been a wild animal, a snake, a boar, it would have hit me differently. Diane came back. Heavens, Joe, I just don't know what to do. Now you tell me what happened. I shot a rabbit just like you said. How about that now? That poor rabbit had an owner. He got oh so angry and chased me. He's a-coming any moment. It's all right, just shoot the bastard. Radio's got lousy reception, so I turn on the TV and it's the same show. Heavens, Joe, I just don't know what to do. Now, didn't you just shoot someone's dog thinking it for a fox? It wasn't that at all. I shot a hunter, took the rabbit he killed. I could never kill a poor little bunny. It's all right, it's all right. Just tell yourself you saved all the rabbits from getting shot by him. Something keeps pouring down outside my window. Sounds like rain. If I go to the window, it could easily turn into bullets or rabbits. Which one is right? Should I go with my eyes or my ears? All right, so that concludes the poems by Hirata Toshiko. This is the book Aporia that I wrote, which I'm on my way to the AWP conference in Philadelphia this week to promote and share from. I'm excited about that. My mom is excited too that there's a book out by me, and I thought I would just read like one poem from Aporia. Actually, I'm going to read two that face each other in the book. This is again, so kind of in the middle of the book. And the book is about, explores my relationship with my mom as she was accepting her diagnosis of Alzheimer's. All right, so I'm going to read two poems from Aporia. Diagonal du vide, empty diagonal. I'm at the Prehistory Museum in Les Aisies de Taillac-Siroy when my mom's psychiatrist calls. She asks me point blank, how can I make your mother less anxious? Paradoxically, tranquilizers have the opposite effect. That night, I try calling my mom. Really, she says? Wait a minute, let me sit down. I can't find a place, she says. My mother can't find a chair to sit down on. And when she's found one, she tells me, it's facing the wrong direction. I can't tell her it's 9 p.m. where I am and raining lightly. I'm standing beside a fountain in a slate-roofed town. Shutters to keep my feelings out. My mother yawns, falls asleep with her eyes open, and I wonder what thoughts is she having there? Sound of nurses typing medical reports, smells of coffee, and the humans we were last discussing. Energy left in the air. The last thing my mom said, they can take a long time on purpose. Sometimes the whole poem is the central image. Sometimes a smell, something that happens only now. Or is this an always? Right. So when I wrote that book, Aporia, it is one of 3 books that I wrote at the same time without realizing that that's what happened. Like some people here, I am a member of a free write group. My group meets on Friday afternoons, and I've been sitting at that group for years, writing about 6 free writes every Friday. Each free write becomes, I don't know, the sprout of a poem, or gets thrown away, or gets merged with another free write. I can't know at the time. It's a free write. That's free. But afterward, I can go back and say, what did I write? So in order to get to this book, Aporia, I went to my free write notebooks and I found out that I had written plenty about my mom for 4 seasons, and I organized it seasonally: Alzheimer's spring, Alzheimer's summer, Alzheimer's fall, Alzheimer's winter. Then I went back and did the same thing, looking for the topic being me and my then new boyfriend, Teddy, who's now kind of not so new, but still with me. And there's a second book. It's already finished. It was just the same exact process as the first book. Grab everything having to do with Teddy and me out of the exact same notebooks. So, and then there's a third book, which I'm now doing now, exact same notebooks one more time. So you never know what you're writing when you're writing, but don't throw away your notebook till you've typed up everything. That's my advice to everybody here. So that book is called Across the Street, the book about Teddy and me, because Teddy and I were living across the street when we started dating. He now then moved across the street and lives with me. I live with him. We live with each other. So I thought I'd start with one poem from across the street that kind of, I wasn't sure to put it in Aporia or put it in Across the Street, so it kind of bridges the 2 books. It's called In a Way. On the way to visit my mom today at Newton Wellesley Alzheimer's, There was a verbal warning from my GPS. Roadkill on road ahead. Teddy was with me. If it's a bird, I told him, I'm just going to plow right through. I drove another 1,000 feet without knowing what to expect. Teddy said, looks like a raccoon. Second lane from the right, my lane. I swerved gently, as I did last time when my mom asked if Teddy and I were her two sons. I pat her hand with mine and I say, in a way. Um, the the next piece you're going to read, I hope everybody is going to either love or hate, but you won't be indifferent to. I promise you that. I'm reading you the last section of Across the Street. The book ends with this sequence of poems, and it's called The Severed Finger, a Melodrama. So this happened sort of during the pandemic, and it was just too good to not write it as a single piece. So this is actually the very end of the book. It's 15 poems. I'm just going to read them for you right now. They're all really short, so I promise not to blow through my time with that. The Severed Finger, a Melodrama. The first one is an erasure, just so you know, from the New York Times Cooking. It's called The Skillet, an Erasure. Whether or not you've fallen for this cheesy white bean tomato bake, we'd like you to meet its bolder counterpart, smoky and spiced. Black beans shine in a deep red mixture, fried garlic, caramelized tomato paste, smoked paprika, cumin. The whole skillet coated, a generous sprinkling, sharp cheddar, manchego, baked until the final result, what you hope for. 2, awareness of emergency. The skillet cooling. Me putting away the shredding blade while ignoring the slicing blade, saying to myself I'm about to get injured, feeling no urge to stop it as my finger and the food processor's steel blade conspired against me. Blood everywhere like a crime scene. It felt criminal somehow, and the skillet an accomplice. Was this a hostage scene or a fugitive scene? Teddy wrapping my finger in paper towels and a blue rubber band from the kitchen drawer. I said, you can drive me to the emergency room, but not until we eat this cheesy, spicy black bean bake, which we ate in silence at the kitchen table, devouring 2 portions each. It was that delicious. Cheese running down both of our beards, aromas of paprika and cumin lingering in the snow-lit kitchen air. I ate the skillet with my left hand, with a spoon, my right index finger elevated above my shoulder like a pointed, loaded gun. 3, pain scale. The doctor in the ER was so sexy. He created the pain, not with the hemostatic combat gauze, but when he put back onto my finger the exact same blue rubber band that Teddy had applied at home. That pain was an 8 out of 10. I told the hot doctor, I'm going to need a little time to process this. My punishment would turn out to be the pain of Dermabond. The legend will be that pain, 10 out of 10. The doctor was a 9 out of 10. He had lovely brown eyes that apologized above his face mask for the Dermabond, for the pain he'd caused. I felt like he'd seen into the long pause of my soul, how profoundly shallow I am. 3 out of 10 on the deepness scale, where it really counts. 4, patient record number 0414140. As long as we're rating things, I was a fat baby, 7 pounds, 14 ounces. My APGAR score, a perfect 10, no blue hands, no blue feet. Because I was born at this very hospital, my patient record goes back to August 25th, 1970. In the emergency room, they're actually looking me up. They can see this information on their monitors. 5, diagnosis, laceration from food processor. The number 1 is mandolins. The number 2 is food processors, the triage nurse told me. The last person actually came in still attached to their food processor.
Mm.
6, tight as a blue rubber band. My grandfather's ring, its value hard to ascertain. I could have it appraised, but it's worth more to me not knowing. From that grandfather, Pop-Pop, my dad's dad, I inherited the story of his immigration to America from a place that today is either Russia or Ukraine. Uncle Marvin got the wind-up bird that sang really beautifully. Pop-Pop painted a self-portrait, which no one wanted. 7, rewards. Little epigraph, first chill, then stupor, then the letting go. Emily Dickinson.
Yes.
I never had my tonsils out. Still, I used to consider myself such an expert at good humor. After great pain, I crave a huge reward. Alone in ER Bay 29, I play a game, assign ice cream to milestones in the healing process. I vacillate between the chocolate eclair and the strawberry shortcake. 8, burn victim in transit wheeled right past me. Likely cause a cigarette. Likely cause neglect, shady deals. Likely cause the 1960s. For a burn victim, the fire is never really extinguished. You can't extinguish a fire like that. It lives on. Likely cause me in a way. I mean, it could have easily been me. 9, the right index finger is a very vascular part of the body, the nurse said. Many nerve endings, so I can feel things accurately. Not in a sexual way, not in a metaphorical way. I'm just a computer made of meat, and any of my fingers destined to be a faulty sensor. And it's nice to see Linda Lamenza here because the next section is called Texting with My Middle Finger after Linda Lamenza. My brother has no idea I'm in the ER. He texts me a photo from Mexico, a balcony railing above a series of closed swimming pools, an empty beach. My finger feels exactly like those palm trees blown sideways by 80 miles an hour wind. I text back, looks beautiful and windy. No punctuation. Punctuation hurts the most. Linda texts me, I'm depressed, which makes me smile. And I text her back, anxiety equals depression. It's worth the extra painful taps to get that equals sign right, which makes me smile. 11, painkillers. Myself that smells like cedar. That self hides with the other 2 of us. Where, I wonder, is the self who hates being indoors? Is he on the hospital fire escape, playing a game he made up called Wrecking Ball? Le moi qui sois français s'en alla se faire enculer. Another of myselves fails to find the rest of us, is still wandering the hospital corridors looking. Now is the time when I call upon myself who can name all the capitals of the 50 states. That self looks at Kentucky and marvels at the sheer number of bordering states. 12, thwack. All this could be psychic retribution for the stink bug I killed last night in our living room. I can't believe I photographed it first. Uploaded the photo to Google Lens, which told me it was a common stink bug, not native to this region. Then killed it with a single thwack of a spatula, the stinking of my bad karma. 13, distraction. I think of fortune cookie ideas. If you've got cancer, don't use laughter as medicine, use chemotherapy. Stomach upset, leave laughter on the bathroom shelf. Try Pepto-Bismol instead. Laughter is the best medicine if you're choking. If you can laugh, you can breathe. If your spirit is down, laughter will work better with 2 martinis and a Klonopin. Only use laughter if you are literally out of every single other kind of medicine. 14, History Channel on hospital TV. Yes, I do remember Free Tibet. That was back when American movie stars supported the Tibetan cause. until they got used to earning millions in royalties from China. Nowadays, Brad Pitt is totally quiet when it comes to Tibet. Nowadays, Tibet is completely free. Free, as in it has no value. 15, this is the last poem in the book, Waiting for Discharge. On the map, I watched Teddy's country tourer turn right onto Longwood. He's listening to Poolside or St. Lucia, making good time through what's become a heavy, non-accumulating snow. Meanwhile, I'm imagining a photo essay about my right index finger. Which position relative to the camera's dead eye? The hospital tray strewn with bloody gauze as crucifixion? The Shell station we'll stop at on the way home as resurrection? Then of course I'll have to write an ekphrastic poem. I guess I'll be considering the relationship between myself and the self that's behind me. Thank you very much, everyone.
Wow, Eric, that was great. You know, when I was little, I had a babysitter named Toshiko. We called her Toko. And then I took French, but you pronounce it a lot better than I do. How many languages do you know?
I can speak 6 languages.
Wow. Wow, that is awesome. Wow, thank you very much.
Thank you all so much.
People can unmute if they want to send greetings and applause. Please do.
Up again.
Thank you all.
Wonderful.
So I want to mention that coming up, we are going to have on April the 1st, April Fool's Day, start of National Poetry Month, Brittany Perham and Robert Carr are going to be reading at our normally scheduled time of the first Friday of the month at 7 o'clock. Also, May 6th, we'll be having a special Mother's Day reading with 2 young mothers by the name of Julie Eben and Lisa Rua Ware. And lastly, I want to mention coming up in June, our own Steve Nickman will be reading, and we're going to hear him a little later in our open mic series, of which we have 9 readers. I want to introduce, to start us out, a fellow by the name of Rick Ribstein.
Eric, it was so great to hear you read again. I used to always love your poems at Barbara's events.
Thank you so much, Steve.
Just great.
That is. Hi.
It's just great to hear it. Thank you. Okay, so this poem is called What He Said. Novalis, 3 turns of the century ago, said the world must be romanticized. He wrote that we ought to give to the ordinary a secret respect, to the known, the dignity of the unknown. Good old Georg Philipp Friedrich Freiherr von Hardenberg, about whom I know nothing, but that he said these wonderful things and that he gave himself a cool pen name. He was right. We need to look magically at the refrigerator. We ought to invest, to the extent that we can, the radiance of the assumption of meaning and value in this pen, this napkin, this bar of soap. These we think are known, but they contain mysteries. There's wonder wrapped up in them which should not be forgotten. Forgive me for thinking that I know you, for taking for granted the miraculous and marvelous fact that you are here with me now.
Thank you, Rick. Wonderful, wonderful. Up next, we have Heather Nelson.
So soon. Hey, this was a great reading. I'm so happy to see everybody from Free Write and other people too. All right, so this poem is called A Poem Is Not a Trust Fall. I'm not a lever, I haven't lost it. My unbearable lightness hides in the closet. It stays married to my fears. We get heavier every year. When I write, it's my fight, a chance to slip into the night, to meet Robert Johnson as he might have sold his soul to play guitar, be waiting at the crossroads in his car. If my desk were a portal to a Brooklyn beer hall, if I were taking a cruise to Turkey this fall, then at 6 o'clock, I'm sure I'd be able to put tacos for 5 on the table, to face the harsh voice of judgment I hear every night, with the voice of my longing, which could also be right.
Thank you, Heather. Wonderful, wonderful. Up next, and soon to be reading with us in June, Steve Nickman.
Thanks, Richard. Actually, there was an analyst named Rickman in London, so that was, I don't mind being called Rickman. And Eric, what a wonderful reading. And what a great book, Aporia. I'm not sure the word love occurs in that book, but it's certainly a book that's full of love. So this poem is called Dark Leaf of the Copper Beech. It's a dark poem, and it was written about 3 dark times ago. We're in one now. So Dark Leaf of the Copper Beech. Oh, I should say this was inspired by a song by a Romanian gypsy band. Dark leaf of the copper beech, green leaf of the apple tree. Let me tell you how it all goes down. Without Osama, our devil is gone. Dark leaf of the copper beech, laugh at the magpie perched on the horse when swastikas burned. Lily of the valley, let me tell you at those times we danced the hora. Quaking aspen leaf, believe me, it gets harder then to look in the mirror. Gray ash of lately murdered shrines. Here's why you're scattered to the winds. We hire new brokers to sell our dark. The dark we earn our living from. Black plum, brown chestnut, weep with me.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Wow,
Thank you, Nick.
beautiful.
Oh. Next up, we've got Carla Schwartz.
Wow, tough act to follow. That was beautiful. I'm going to read you a poem. I have a book coming out, and I'll put a link in the chat. It's called Signs of Marriage. It's a chapbook, and coming out from Finishing Line, and it's available for pre-order now. And this is a poem that I thought of when Eric was doing his reading, because he had quite a few firearms in his poems. And so this is called It Wasn't the Gun. It's kind of an elegy. But today I'm thinking about it, your gun. Still packed up and ready to load the 22 Smith & Wesson you bought when we moved to Bear Island. I remove it from the case I gave you one Christmas, the case you had taken down that Saturday in preparation for the season opening that week, that saddest Saturday before it wasn't just another shimmering November day on our lake. Our lake. That's how we'd refer to it those thin months when most other islanders had closed up for the season. The gun still smells of oil. You'd cleaned the scope and barrel, tucked the ammo away in the zipper pocket I had monogrammed for you. JAM. I was always terrified you'd die by this gun with your hunting buddy nearby. I lift out your orange vest and hug myself into it, inhaling as I do, but I don't smell you. I smell only the house you built for us, my very definition of you. I cradle the rifle under my arm and aim at the mounted head of a deer you'd shot that first hunting year. I pull back the trigger of the unloaded gun and snap. I want to shoot holes through everything we did to cull sense from the inexplicable. The crash I thought was our running aground, how much it hurt to grab our phone from the slump of you already gone. After the accident, your picture printed in the paper, side by side with a photo of the driver of the other boat, your hunting buddy, looking young and happy with a fish on a hook. In your photo, your wrinkles smile to the sun, but oh, that chiseled chin. I called you Apollo for that jaw. Apollo, who, like you, healed and sang. And that's it.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Carla.
Mm.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank
Wow.
you.
Coming up now, we've got Carrie Loftman.
Eric, I have to thank you for reading my favorite bloody series of poetry. I I tried reading it to my husband once and he just couldn't handle it. Once your finger went off, he was gone. But thank you. I'm going to read what is really a rough draft, but because I'm amongst really good friends, I feel comfortable trying this out. So thank you for bearing with me. It is called "Harden My Heart Against Breakage." Because I do not hope to turn again. Because I do not hope. Ash Wednesday used to be just a poem. Beautiful talisman, lean lines encanted alone on my private island. Ash Wednesday used to be just another religious obligation. I'd wear the palm ashes on my forehead like a question mark, a discomfort, the way I wore a Catholic school uniform, marked out as other and not always up to the challenge. No longer a child, I can't cling to myths of honor in wartime. Although the 13 souls defending Snake Island with their Russian warship, fuck you, sounds like my kind of story. And now the Pope calls for the world to fast and pray on Ash Wednesday, as if history ever showed prayer to stop a bullet, to be the miracle. I do not need Ash Wednesday to hold the horror of this war in my guts. Mark my forehead with human ashes from thermobaric bombs. Mark the cross in blood on sidewalk cement. Carve it into the black alder and the oak. Hold on. No dreams are crossing the borders on the hems of those Mickey Mouse blankets. Only grief dispersing. Thank you.
Wow. Woohoo.
Terrific.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Go, Carrie, go. Next up, Jonathan Abel.
Wow, what an evening. Thank you for reading, Eric and Carrie. That was remarkable. This is called A Pretty Good Life. Once red when it had glass, an abandoned car, rust eats the edges, it drowns in weeds. Daily, on my way to work, I pass. Work is all right, monitor flicker, blocks of keyboard clicks, no worries for sun or rain too much. To ask for dreams that direct job searches. I need money more than love, tick-tock. And clear weather I walk, try not to get a stone in my shoe. So small, so hard to ignore. The car, was it cared for, driven, until no longer worth fixing? Maybe I should surrender. Marplan, Zoloft, Paxil, strip, the edge and ache, pop, live a pretty good life. One empty headlight watches, I feel all winter storm. The other day was warm, pretty nice. Left my jacket home, but that's gone.
Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. Next up, Pamela Gem.
Hey, thank you. So I'm going to read one of my drafts. This has been an incredible amount of the poetry. Eric, that was wonderful. All of it. Every poem was just unbelievable. So I'm in good company. Takeaways from my DNA test. My birth was a protest, a product of an unexpected crave. One reaction under the sun's rave, marrow and murk, the family scribe, a river that flows into open ocean. I'll tell on my grandmothers. Do I really want to know? The morning fronds scratch my back. The cold ground looks like clouds last night, half shadow, half light, troubled drop seed in raw earth, a hot-headed mutant with uncrazed DNA. My innards are rattlesnakes. I fight to stay in stasis. Little gods whisper unchanged maps into my veins like the rings inside of trees. Mother tongues were ripped from mother throats. Ghost homes along the track that led to ghost treks. My praise to those transcendent faces. All the right people had all the right sex. I did really want to know. The beads on the abacus count the magic men unnamed who discovered the new land. I am unplanned shine cast into this world. I'm the clan chinoiserie. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Pam. You know, some of the readers have such amazing backgrounds that really kind of add to their words. You've got a very multimedia thing going on there. Next up, Linda Lamenza.
Hey, Eric, that's amazing. It's so nice to see this group of people together. The poem I will share with you is called In Praise of Vanity. This morning, a sea hag startles me in my bathroom mirror. She looks just like me. Crow's feet frame her chocolate eyes. She looks nothing like me, a purple band of courage tattooed on her brow. She regards me with admiration, her flowy silver sea hag hair determining my. She looks into me, or maybe it's through me, all the way to what I do not recognize as myself.
Yes,
Wow, yes.
alienation.
And now our penultimate reader of the night, Karen Sharp.
I don't think I've ever been the penultimate. Yay, first for everything. Oh, Eric, I am just in love with your work. It's so awesome, and everybody else tonight. So great to hear everyone. This is called Body Scan. Today, I stood in the shallow end to rest between laps at the pool. Early morning sunlight glazing the natatorium's glass wall. I needed to feel the bracket of my legs, the vertebrae of my spine ladder the wall, practice breath and body as ballast. I closed my eyes to breathe, portaled my attention, the left big toe, then all the toes, the bottom of the foot, the top of the foot, the whole left foot, Sat Nam, joints on fire, ache welling the rheumatic flare of my bones. I felt 100 years old there, considering morning's news of refugees emptied into a numinous unknown, left behind fathers, husbands, brothers. How long till comfort caresses again? How long till any of us crumble to dust? Contentment eludes again and again when the broken body of the world is all we can bear.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I want to conclude this section by reading one of my war poems based on letters that my Uncle John sent home that my mother typed up when she was in high school. This is called February 15th, 1945, Alsace, Lorraine. I've been lying here for 15 minutes, trying to think of something to say that's allowed. Censorship means a guy can write about events more than 2 weeks old and places over 25 miles from where he is now. The hills are covered with snow, except the thickest woods. 2 howitzers keep going off, and each time I jump about a foot. Yet not far off from here, we saw rabbit tracks and a bird sang a very pretty song. At the new place we set up, the people must have been cultured or had a display library like Mr. Gatsby's. There's an awful lot of Bavarian culture and Italian Renaissance. The pen might be mightier than the sword, but we found a book that took 350 pages to stop a bullet. Last night, we dug a hole about 4 feet deep and big enough for 10 men to sleep in and keep warm. I'd appreciate if you could get a good supply of candy coming, gumdrops, caramels, walnettos, chocolatos, hard candy, gum, kisses, ask sis for expert advice. And cigarettes. Don't worry, I won't smoke them, but they're good for trade. Oh, and they made me bugler, since I was the only one brave enough to try it out. At first I couldn't play a note, but after a while, I had a whole octave that sounds pretty fair, except flat near the top. So it's bugle calls, call to arms, and revelry, about all anyone can stand. The good news is that I'm attached to company headquarters and not so close to the front lines. I didn't tell you, but I had a very sad experience some time back when I lost my best friend. He had a wife and the cutest twins. He was just starting to tell them apart.
Oh. Oh my God.
You're publishing those, Richard?
That's in a book that I'm trying to get published called All That Remains.
Oh,
And yeah, about
Beautiful.
war and other conflicts.
wow.
It might be timely. I don't know. Is there any war going on at this time? Not sure.
Richard, it looks like you might have skipped Margot. She wanted to read one. So I was saying Karen got hit,
Yeah.
is now the anti-penultimate. You ended
Yeah.
up as
Yeah.
penultimate.
We need the
Margo,
ultimate.
I am so sorry. Here you
That's
go.
okay. That's okay. I made a deal with my grandkids to give me a minute of silence. So
Excellent.
let's hope. Okay. Eric, that was a wonderful reading. Such a collection of amazing poems and so different from each other. It was wonderful. I still think about it. Nancy made me do it. I was just a dark, skinny kid in a big wool coat, lingering in the record department at Hess Brothers, flipping through the bins. She didn't think I had the guts. When she signaled with her blue eyes that no one was watching, I snatched Nat King Cole's Haji Baba, his newest. Deep in each soul, carefully hidden, there's a desire to be indiscreet. That stolen record was inside my coat, and I held it with my hand in my pocket as if it might melt through the layers of lining, my heart beating like an engine chugging hard through winter air.
I thought everyone could hear it while I made my way to the escalator, pretending I had all the time in the world. My mother worked in that store, manager of the French room. She wouldn't have taken as much as a pencil. What if I'd been caught? Her embarrassment. What did a 45 go for anyway? 89 cents? Was it worth it? Nancy took Haji Baba home with her.
Love that one.
And that is our first ultimate reader. Unbelievable. Thank you.
I was saying,
Margot.
yeah, Karen's got an unbroken track record. She's still never been penultimate.
Oh,
Unbroken track record.
Eric, I
No.
just want to say that I was very relieved when I realized that I wasn't with the finger poems. I was very relieved it didn't wind up the way that the old movie. You ever see a movie called The Hitcher?
I don't think so.
The Hitcher is back from the 60s, but that finger ends up differently than yours did.
Lucked out
I
with
hope
that.
it wasn't his thumb, if he's a hitcher.
Hmm.
No, well, it was a little bit different. I think it was a middle finger.
Oh,
Oh.
I won't say anymore.
Well, this has been a wonderful reading. Thank you, everyone, for participating and keeping poetry alive, so alive.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard, for
Thank you,
organizing.
Richard.
And
thanks,
Great.
everybody.
Nice.
Richard, thank you all
Thank
so
you,
much.
Richard. Yeah.
It's just lovely to see everyone's face.
be well, everyone.
Oh, take care.
Thanks.